Hello everyone and welcome to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society's very first Friday virtual pub session. I am Richard Goslan, I'm the editor of the Society's members magazine Unfiltered, and I will be your pub host for the evening. So I hope everyone's doing well, maybe getting some sunshine at this time of year. And I suppose most of you will know that on the first Friday of every month, the Society releases a new outturn of whiskies, and that's why we're getting together tonight to talk about some of those whiskies and to talk about the theme that we've put together. Each month we come up with a different theme for our outturn, and in this case, as we approach the 21st of June, we're talking about the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere and the shortest day of the year in the southern hemisphere as they approach the height of winter there. So we're looking at embracing the contrasts of light and dark and some interesting pairings from contrasting whiskies, which we'll come to very shortly. So I hope you've all got a nice whiskey in hand. I hope you maybe got something online today when the first Friday whiskies went on sale. But let me tell you what we've got coming up in the pub tonight. We've got music very soon from Donald Livingston, a Society favourite who many of you will have seen performing for us before and will recognise from the Whisky Talk podcast and some of our videos that he's provided the music for. We've got some solstice chat. We're going to head up to Orkney to speak to an archaeologist and tour guide in the Orkney Islands to find out about what the solstice means up there and some of the archaeology which has got a real significance in terms of solstice celebrations. We are going to be heading down under to meet Matt Bailey, who's the Society's National Ambassador in Sydney, to find out what's going on with him as he approaches the darkest time of year in Australia. We'll have our pub quiz, as usual, with some First Friday bottling theme to that. And we're going to meet Joe Mcguirk, who is the founder of Boatyard Distillery in Northern Ireland. And some of you might have seen there's a new Society bottling of gin, which Joe is going to tell us all about later on. But first of all, let me introduce my co-host for the evening, a familiar face to many people at the Society, many members around the world, is Euan Campbell, our spirits manager, who's in no small part responsible for the whiskey that makes it into your glasses in the UK, the EU, and around the world. So Euan, how are you doing?
Not bad, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm surviving, just about. I've poured myself a very nice dram, which was one of our Speyside Festival bottlings, and I've got to say, it's absolutely sensational. So that is keeping me going. Have you got something good in your glass tonight?
Yeah, I'm on a home blend with a very high sherry cask content.
Very nice.
A nice drop.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, we're going to be talking about some pairings from the outturn with Euan and getting his input on that very soon. But let's kick off the pub session with a bit of music from our friend Donnie Livingston up in Skye. Donnie, how are you doing?
Hi there, not too bad. It's a chiller up here in Skye. I've got a wee West Coast whirl up here to warm me up. I'm trying to keep my summer gear on, but it's kind of it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, we maybe had our heat wave already.
Yeah.
But right, Donnie, let's get the session started. Take it away.
Yeah, I'll do a couple of Burns ones, I think, to start off the evening. This one's it's a bit of a kind of spring summery one, which normally evokes kind of nicer weather than we've got now, but it's a lovely wee song. It's called Lassie with the Lint White Locks. Lassie with the lint white locks, bonny lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie o? Lassie with the lint white locks, Bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? Now nature cleaves the flowery lea, and all is young and sweet like thee. Wilt thou share its joys with me, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? Lassie with the lint white locks, bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? Lassie with the lint white locks, bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? The primrose bank, the wimpling barn, the cuckoo on the milk-white thorn, the wanton lambs at rosy morn, shall glad thy heart, my dearie-o. When the welcome summer shower has chilled out drooping little flower, wheel to the breathing woodbine bower at salty noon, my dearie-o. As Cynthia lights were silvery, the weary shearers homeward way, through yellow waving fields we'll stray, and talk o' love, my dearie-o. Lassie with the lint white locks, bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? And should the howling wintry blast disturb my lassie's midnight rest, I'll fold thee to my faithful breast, and comfort thee, my dearie-o. Lassie with the lint white locks, bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? Lassie with the lint white locks, bonnie lassie, artless lassie, wilt thou wi' me tent the flocks, and wilt thou be my dearie-o? Right, so I'll play another wee one now. It's trying to think of a kind of solstice one to do, but I think I've got one that's sort of appropriate. It's an old Burns one called John Barleycorn. It's a Burns collection one. It kind of suits the whiskey chat as well. So, should have had a guitar handy. were 3 kings into the east, 3 kings both great and high, and they have sworn a solemn oath, John Barleycorn must die. They took a plough and ploughed him down, and put clods on his head, and they have sworn a solemn oath, John Barleycorn was dead. The cheerful spring came kindly on, and showers began to fall. John Barleycorn got up again, and sore surprised them all. The sultry suns of summer came, and he grew thick and strong. His head wheel armed with pointed spears, that no one should do him wrong. The sober autumn entered mild, and he grew wan and pale. His bending joints and drooping head showed he began to fail. His colour sickened more and more, he faded into haze, and then his enemies began to show their deadly rage. They'd taken a weapon long and sharp, and cut him by the knee, and tied him fast upon a cart like a rogue in forgery. They laid him out upon his back to cudgel him full sore, and laid him out before the storm, and turned him o'er and o'er. They filled up a darksome pit, and filled it to the brim, and they heaved in John Barleycorn, there let him sink or swim. They laid him out upon the floor, and worked him o'er and o'er, and still the signs of life appeared, they tossed him o'er and o'er. They wasted o'er a scorching flame the very marrow of his bones, but a miller used him worst of all, for he crushed him between 'twa stones. And they have taken his very hero blood, and drank it round and round, and still the more and more they drank, their joy did more abound. John Barleycorn was a hero bold, of noble enterprise, for if you do but taste his blood, 'twill make your courage rise. 'Twill make a man forget his woe, 'twill heighten all his joy. 'Twill make a widow's heart to sing, though the tear may be in her eye. And let us toast John Barleycorn, each man a glass in hand, and may his great posterity ne'er fail in old Scotland.
Great stuff, Bonnie.
No bother.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. I like that wee bit of John Barleycorn.
Yeah. Okay. Kind
Very nice. Cheers for that. We will see you later on. You can go and have an enjoyable dram, and we'll catch up with you later on.
Certainly will do. Cheers, boys.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers for now. Not a bad start, Euan. Right, let's drink some whiskey. We've got the outturn that came out today. So, you know, well, we've got the theme of the solstice, but it's really about comparing and contrasting, isn't it? So anything that you would pick out of this outturn, Euan, in terms of drams that you could set up next to each other and explore that kind of contrast between them? Anything that kind of caught your eye or caught your palate?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things kind of jumped out at me from this month's outturn. One is a kind of rum-themed comparison. So we've got cask number 7.241, which is a Speyside malt extra matured in a Jamaican rum barrel, which is the kind of British Navy style, quite an intense, funky style of rum. But then we've also got a rum in the outturn from Guyana, R2.11. So it's a similar style of rum. It's not from exactly the same country, but I think it'd be fascinating to kind of pair these up and see what impact that Navy style rum has on a Speyside whiskey, you know, and then really get it full force with the single cask rum as well. Yeah,
very nice. Yeah, I'm not sure I've had a rum next to the whiskey before, but I suppose if the whiskey's been extra matured in a rum cask, then you're going to find some kind of comparison there, right?
Yeah, definitely. They can be pretty impactful. So I think this particular Speyside whiskey tends to have lots of nice sort of stone fruits and things like that as its characteristics, whereas the rum kind of has more fermented fruits. So it's a really interesting contrast on the fruity side, I think. The other kind of duo that jumped out as well is a kind of much older theme to it. So G4.20 is the ripe old age of 40, and this is a grain whiskey, obviously. And then I would love to just set that up next to the 50.111, which is a 30-year-old lowland dram. So you really get to see, you know, a unique example of these two very different types of Scotch whiskey over decades and decades, in just quite a nice, relaxed barrel or hogshead. And it's kind of fascinating. You get these notes that you can only really get with age, and it's great to see how malt and grain react differently to long aging.
Yeah, and if anyone's not tried one of these like very old single cask grain whiskies, I mean, they're just sensational, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They're kind of a bit otherworldly. So obviously, we've had the pleasure of going to places like Cognac and Armagnac, where aging is, you know, sometimes in excess of 80 years, maybe even longer sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really start to get an appreciation for that unique character. And grain whiskey can really shine when it's of that kind of vintage, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'd definitely be nice setting it up next to that 5111, as you say. What is that one, Euan? 30, 29 years old or something?
I think it's 30.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, pretty sure it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a lowlander, so distilled 1990 as well, under two previous ownerships. So a really kind of rare as hen's teeth view into the past of that distillery as well.
Yeah, it's a cracking distillery. I remember visiting it maybe a couple of years ago with you, and it's a great place to visit. Certainly, when things open up again, well worth the trip. A wee bit off the beaten track, but well worth the journey.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got to talk about 29.271. This is a bottling that we were going to put out today, in today's First Friday. Huge demand for it, and we've been having a few little issues with our website, so we thought let's put that to one side, and we're going to release it on Monday. So this is a wee kind of sneak preview of the 29.271. Tell us a wee bit about that, Euan.
Okay, so this is obviously an Islay single malt. We're 21 years of age, and it's 55.5%, which is quite a nice balanced strength. And I think I'm not sure if you'll agree with me, Richard, but I had to have a sneaky taste of this before our session, and I really like it neat. It's just like very, very well balanced. Without the addition of water, so I might even keep it neat because I've already tried it both ways. So
yeah, I certainly felt it didn't need water.
Do something a wee bit different here as well. So we talked about the other ones where we could pair or contrast with other whiskies in the outturn. But when was this? It was August last year. Was it that long ago that we did the whole half and half beer and whiskey matching?
Yeah.
And I thought it tied in quite nicely to the whole solstice thing. One of my favorite things has always been to pair big peaty whiskies with dark beer. I remember the first time I did it when I was working at the vaults on the bar, and I remember trying 33 from a sherry cask with a stout that was produced in Skye, I think. And it's just a match made in heaven. But going with the kind of solstice theme, we're going with the Orkney brewery here.
Yeah, I've got my red Mcguirk. I tracked some down today, so I've got that, and it's a brilliant colour. Look at that. Yeah,
I love that as well. The kind of dark ruby ales as well. But this one, Dark Island, fantastic, beautiful dark stout. And just the match with big smoky stuff is amazing. So, but let's go for the whiskey first. Get a measure on that. Pretty amazing colour. I don't know how well you can see in my webcam there, but it's a really nice dark kind of amber colour. This has been additionally matured in a second fill port barrique. And we previously used that port barrique to mature another Islay whiskey. 10.118, which was a 10-year-old release, came out a couple of years back. So it's kind of an example of how we like to reuse our good quality casks, and here's a nice end result. Nose for me is a lot of kind of dark fruits. There's the fortified wine. There's kind of this apple tobacco, like kind of water pipe shisha type type thing going on there.
It's very mellow, though. You know, it's not a big blast of smoke by any means.
Richard, you've.
It's very mellow. Can you hear me now? No. Oh, you lost my audio.
You're back.
I'm back. I was just saying it's very mellow. You know, it's maybe just because of the age. It's very subtle. It's not a big blast of smoke on the nose.
Yeah. I agree. It's that kind of rum and raisin fudge and spicy stuff.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Imagining like setting fire to massive bags of spices, cinnamon and cloves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the smoke is much more apparent in the taste than it was in the nose. And there's like a real kind of cardamom fragrance and heat to it. Really
I love
nice.
the sweetness as well. You know, it's like, you know, sweet seafood, almost like grilled prawns or something, you know.
And then you try a wee refreshing swig of dark beer. It's just an absolute match made in heaven.
Well, sensational. Well, I know this bottle is in big demand, so we've been lucky to get a wee sample tonight. It does go on sale on Monday, so you can look out for that. But yeah, just spectacular. What have we got here? We've got Stephen saying, nicely paired with a Traquair, 160 shillings. That would probably do the trick. Yeah, very nice. But I mean, there's lots of opportunities. I think, you know, whether people are able to get bottles from this First Friday, or they you know, wherever they are in the world, there's obviously different bottles are available in different parts of the different countries. But there are always opportunities to set up some kind of interesting contrasting tastings, you know, different flavor profiles, or maybe, you know, the 29 is a lightly peated flavor profile, and maybe even contrast that with a different lightly peated bottling from the society, and just kind of explore some of those contrasts and you know, look for comparisons, but look for differences as well.
Yeah, sorry, I've taken another mouthful.
That was good timing. Well, I mean, we're drinking Orkney beer, so maybe we should head up to Orkney to talk to a resident archaeologist about what the solstice means up there. We're joined by Helen Woodsford-Dean, an archaeologist, a guide, a celebrant, a druid, also working at Highland Park Distillery as a guide. So Helen knows
I guide there sometimes if I need to.
Yeah. So Helen, I hope you're doing well up in Orkney. I can imagine it's a very pleasant place to be just now. Tell us a little bit about the significance of Orkney's archaeological sites when it comes to the solstice in particular.
I think Orkney's probably most famous for its World Heritage Sites. It's got World Heritage Site status on 6 of its sites, and the archaeology is splendid, kind of like all the way through, but it really takes off in a period of time called the Neolithic, or the New Stone Age, which is about 5,000 years ago, when people started to farm, and it's quite possibly when they started to malt for the first time as well. So you're getting sugars and you're getting alcohol really coming through for the first time in a large quantities. But a lot of people think that the take-up of farming now is in Britain is not so much to do with making bread, but about making beer, or particularly ale, which is really quite exciting. So we've got this amazing archaeology up here with World Heritage Site status. And we don't actually know what people were doing in 5,000 years ago when they built those sites. We don't know whether the solstices were important to them. I can tell you what we do, and I can tell you a little bit about the clues, but I don't, as a trained archaeologist, I don't really want to project too much onto the past. What we do, we moved up. You can tell this is not a Scottish accent. It's definitely not an Orcadian accent. We moved up to Orkney 12 years ago, and we kind of started to run these open rituals at the major, what they would call the major Celtic rituals of the year, which includes the 2 solstices, the 2 equinoxes, and the dates in between. So there's 8 rituals a year. And the one that really took off was the summer solstice, because people were looking for somewhere else to go other than Stonehenge. Stonehenge was just getting really too much for most people. And so people started coming up to Orkney, and we don't have the numbers that they have at Stonehenge, but we get quite large numbers. One year we had about 200 people, which is, it might not sound a lot, but when there's only a couple of people organising it, it's quite a lot of organising to go into. And so we started running open rituals. Although myself and my husband are both pagans, I'm actually the acting deputy presiding officer of the Scottish Pagan Federation at the moment, and we're both able to perform legal pagan weddings in Scotland. So paganism is recognised officially in Scotland as a religion. We're also really active in interfaith work. So we wanted to design these rituals that were open to anyone, accessible to anyone, wouldn't offend anybody from any religion or none, but that were sort of like at least nature-based, which is the sort of like paganism that we kind of like are most inclined to, I suppose. We wanted to make them safe, pet friendly, family friendly, highly accessible. Possibly because they were so open, possibly not with as much depth as a lot of people might expect from their pagan ceremonies, but we thought that was a price worth paying. And then we also wanted to incorporate into it some of the more folklorish traditions that were going on in Orkney. And we've got we had some amazing folklorists up in Orkney about 100, 200 years ago, particularly a gentleman called Mcguirk, who was going around and jotting down all the folklore that he was hearing from people. And for midsummer, he records that in Orkney, they used to call midsummer solstice, they used to call it John's Mass, or the Mass of St. John. It was a Christianized ceremony, as there's a lot of overlap throughout the Middle Ages between, if you like, traditional rural celebrations and Christianity. And it was often to do with fires, and it was often to do with a little bit of divination. And it's also to do with about young people pairing up. We do find that the midsummer is a time when a lot of people want to have a wedding. We do perform legal weddings and renewals of vows, and just people making promises to each other, what we call a hand fasting. We perform that at the stone circles as well. So
I've seen that. I was looking into some of the solstice celebrations across the world, and as you say, pairing up seems to be a recurring theme. Fire seems to be a recurring theme. There's all kinds of traditions of like couples jumping through fire, and that means they're going to be united and they're going to have a successful union, and lots of examples of that around the world. So that is a fairly kind of universal theme, is it?
It's difficult to know. There was a guy called James Fraser, who's a Victorian. He wrote this amazing book called The Golden Bough. It has been sort of like questioned quite a bit by modern anthropologists, but it's a really early bit of anthropological writing. And he was trying to find these links around the world. And there does seem to be this theme about fire, particularly at midsummer. And that could be to do with purification. Particularly purification of the herds. You know, if you're chasing cattle or sheep between two fire, the fire and the smoke might burn off fleas and ticks from them. But there's also this idea about fertility. So you want your cattle and your sheep to have baby cattle and sheep, because that's quite important. And if you're a farmer, you want to have lots of little baby farmers. So it's quite important for you to be having young, both for humans and animals. So that's kind of like, it seems to all be linked in with the theme of the festivals. Obviously, we're not doing anything with fire because we're working at a highly protected site. So the fire we use is going to be symbolic. It might just be a candle flame in a hurricane lamp or something like that. So we're working very symbolically with things. But we also think about, we're tied in very much with what the sun's doing. Now, we are a very long way north in Orkney, and at this time of year, it doesn't get dark. There's an Orcadian dialect term for the kind of like this dusky blueness we get, which is about as dark as we get, which is called the simmerdim. And you can go out at midnight and you can read without a light. It doesn't get dark. It absolutely messes with your body rhythms about when you should be sleeping and when you should be awake. You don't just tend to sleep very much at this time of year. We're all a bit hyper up here. And then in winter, we just hibernate. And so we're tying in all that. We're trying to be true to, we're trying to be conscious about the archaeology. There's a question, there's loads of flats on Orkney. I live in a parish called Harry. And almost everybody in Orkney, in Harry, is flat. There's two major free families called flat. It might come from Flair, and it's a surname that comes possibly from northern Scotland, but there are loads and loads of flats in Orkney. It's a really common surname. That's one of the ones that popped up. So we're trying to be true to all this. We're trying to look after the archaeology. We're trying to be true to what we believe in. We're trying to be diplomats and ambassadors, if you like, for paganism. But we don't actually know if the sun at the longest day was celebrated at the stone circles or not. What we
Okay.
do know is that at Maes Howe is, I'm going to be a bit daring here. I'm going to say it's the finest passage grade tomb in Northwest Europe. I think it's better than Newgrange because Newgrange in Ireland is largely reconstructed, but it has some similarities with Newgrange. And that's at the midwinter solstice. And in the midwinter solstice, the setting sun in Orkney, as the sun rays set on a clear day, they light up the inside of Maes Howe. And at Newgrange, it's the sunrise. It's the sun's rays in the morning that light up the inside of Newgrange. That's the difference. So we know that what's important, and the alignments, we know it's the midwinter solstice. And in many ways, a lot of archaeologists will tell you that the people at Stonehenge, when they go there in their thousands, are almost certainly at the wrong solstice. It's almost certainly to do with midwinter. And when you're an early farmer, and you don't know perhaps the science of the sun, that sun coming back and welcoming that sun coming back when you're in the middle of winter and you're incredibly dependent on that natural light because you haven't got central heating, don't have a natural national grid. You're just really, as an early farmer, you're really dependent on the sun. That winter solstice is the important one, I think, more so than the summer solstice.
It must be amazing up at Maes Howe for the winter solstice. Are you able to do anything for the summer solstice this year, Helen, or is everything kind of on hold this year?
Oh, this year, yeah, nothing's happening. We've just, we don't know what we're going to do yet, but we have had permission. We have to get a lot of permission from Historic Scotland to do what we do. And they trust us because we've got a great track record and because we're actually archaeologists as well as being tour guides. So we've got all the experience with looking after crowds of people, plus we've got the knowledge about what you can and can't do with the archaeology. And I've got a teaching background. Why I'm moving around so much, I've always provided a moving target to my audience. Well, this year, we just can't have the large crowds because we usually pass around some ale and some cake. And we can't do that. You can't hold hands. You can't do anything like that. But we have just got permission from Historic Scotland that if we want to, we can do a live stream. And we are discussing between us, myself and my husband, about whether we're going to do that or not. But we will do something. We'll do something with us anyway. And I was quite glad to see you enjoying Orkney beers because when we make offerings to the land, the offering that we tend to give is a bottle of the same brewery is Skull Splitter. It does exactly what it says on the bottle. If you drink enough of it, it's a really high ABV. It's about 8 or 9%. It's like a wheat wine. But we will pour a bottle of that on the land of a way of honouring the land spirits, if you like, or the energies or the powers. And we use Skull Splitter, and they're very fond of it.
No whiskey used as an offering?
Pardon?
No whiskey used as an offering?
We have used whiskey as an offering. Highland Park is a popular one. We've had people, when we've done weddings and people want to make their own offering, we've had organic Welsh cider, we've had Ukrainian vodka, we've had all sorts of things given as offerings. People quite get into this idea of giving something back. Very
good. Okay,
it's
Helen,
beautiful up here.
I can only imagine how beautiful it is, and especially, you know, as a remote place away from some of the problems in the rest of the world, it must be even more special at the moment.
It is.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Pardon?
I was just going to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to hear about the solstice up in Orkney. And
can I just mention my book?
Yeah, on you go.
It's my book. We've just self-published a book, and this is our book. We've just self-published. If people are interested in it, a little. You can look us up. We're online, and we're just called Spiritual Orkney, and it's an alternative guidebook. Lots of archaeology in it, and a little bit of me just saying, be nice to each other, really.
It's a very good message. Right, Helen, thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Cheers. I think we need to make a trip to Orkney, Euan, at some point.
That sounds good. I'm not sure. I like the Skull Splitter, but I think pairing it with cask strength whiskey is perhaps over the top.
Could well be. Right. Well, I think it's time to go from. I think I worked out. Helen is at 58 degrees north latitude, and we're going to go to Sydney, Australia, which is 33 degrees south. So our national ambassador for Australia is a great guy called Matt Bailey. Now, in Australia right now, I think it's maybe about 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. So I couldn't convince Matt. He's very enthusiastic about everything, but I couldn't convince him to come in live to the virtual pub. So he very kindly recorded something for us. So I'm just going to pull that up, and let's hear from Matt Bailey, our national ambassador down in Sydney, Australia. Here he is, I hope.
Hey, Scotland, how are we all going? It's Matt Bailey here. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia, and I'm really glad to be able to record something for you for your Friday night stream going on tonight. I regret to say I'm not recording this live. What do Australians do for our winter solstice? What is it that we do? Is there any sort of extra sort of things happen? Not really. It's just a little bit colder than normal, but it's not really that cold. It's not like Scotland cold or Iceland cold or something like that. It's just a bit colder. So in the meantime, I've pulled a 66 out, a 66.164 that I believe was actually very popular with members over in the UK when you released this late last year. I like big butts. Can't get much better than a name than that, can you? But I want to show you where it might be really nice to enjoy a dram. I'm sitting right now in my whiskey office, which you can see around me here. I've got all the whiskey behind me here. I've got the mics over here. I've got the plant. I've got my nice little setup here, which I do my live streams from every single night. Every night we go live at the Society in Australia, which I love doing for our members, having a chat with them. It's on our Facebook group, our page, all that kind of stuff, YouTube. And it's really nice seeing how members react in different parts of the world to what people are drinking. And you find some great flavour pairings, some great profiles, and some great dramming, especially in this diverse weather that we're having at the moment, where it's so cold here, but it's so warm there. So I'm going to take you on a walk. I might take this bottle with me and this dram, and we'll go outside where it's nice and cold, and we'll have a chat about some of the differences, some of the light, some of the dark, and some of the flavours that you see kicking off wherever you might be. Let's go. Hey everyone, I said I'd bring that dram with me, but I've changed my mind, and I often change my mind on which dram I'm feeling like at the time. I'm going with something from the oily and coastal profile this time, because it's one of my favourite flavour profiles. Sweet, fruity, and mellow, oily and coastal, they're two of my favourites often. Sometimes deep, rich, and dried fruits, and sometimes peated. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. But in summer, we often drink a lot of light and delicate, and a lot of spicy and sweet in summer as well. And even sometimes, if I'm lucky to find one here or there, one of our bourbons or one of our Armagnacs. But we're a big rum drinking country here as well. Australians love their rum. We're a rum country. All the jokes about all the convicts and everything like that, I don't even know them. But it's I decided to go with, I've got a little tiny bit left in this bottle here of 52.32s. They're coming out all right. Highly entertaining. It's probably around the wrong way, but I hope you know what I mean by that. Highly entertaining. The 32nd cask ever approved by panel by Distillery 52. Hugely underrated distillery, hugely underrated flavour profile. We've got one on the website at the moment, which is a oily and coastal one, which I'm also picking up for myself because there's some lovely dramming to be had here, and I poured a little bit of that out the back here because it might not look it, but it is very cold out here. I'm still wearing this jacket and I'm still all rugged up. But that's the thing. It's what I find most fascinating about, especially society flavour profiles, is that there's so much variation in when and where they're enjoyed. You find people loving the, like I said, light and delicate, sweet, fruity, and mellow profiles in times like summer, where it's. And by the way, I'm talking Sydney summer. I'm talking Australian summer, which is significantly hotter than most of you in Scotland would be used to, unless you've been to Australia in the summer. We get often strings of days, sometimes even weeks, where it doesn't drop below 40. So that's 40 degrees Celsius every single day, and it's quite punishing, I'll be honest. But a nice cold lager and a dram on the side, as we'd call it, a Boilermaker. I think you still call it a half and half. I'm sure there's going to be a language difference here or there, but it's and that's why coming over to Scotland in the summer, that I've had the opportunity to do, is often sort of a bit like our spring. It's often a bit rainy still, but some nice mild 20-degree days, or just below, which is lovely. And that's the kind of the beauty of whiskies that can be appreciated all year round, in all different contexts. And sometimes it might be in a cocktail, sometimes it's neat, sometimes it's with ice, sometimes it's just a drop of water. I generally always add a drop of water to my whiskey, but some people don't, and that's fine. So I've gone with the 52.32 at the back of my office here, enjoying a bit of the sunset and enjoying a dram on the side. Where else should we go from here? Maybe we should look at how we could mix things up a bit from here. I'm going to head back into my office because it's a couple of hours before I have to do my live stream. And while I think I'm ready for everything tonight, I just still feel like making a sneaky society cocktail before we start, and something you might like to try as well. This might be one that you can try in your summer. So I'm going to make a bit of a Scotland summer cocktail. Let's go back in. Folks, I'm back in the office. I've just come back in from outside. It is much warmer in here. So I'm going to make a bit of a summer cocktail in our winter that you can try in your summer. So this is kind of exciting. And this, of course, is extremely blasphemous. So I apologize to the purists straight away. I'm going to need a nice tumbler. I use a tumbler for cocktails. Get some ice in there. Mind you, I'm not a bartender. I'm not a mixologist. So you'll have to bear with me on this one. What do we need next? I'm going to make a half size on this one. Not a full size because I've still got a lot of work to do, and it is early evening here, so it'd be nice time for a cocktail, but I've still got a fair bit more to do this evening, including my live stream, so I'm going to take it easy for now. What I'm going to start with is the base of some good whiskey. I've gone with 134.7, a Dreamer's Dram. That is not a festival bottling, but it is a recent one for our Australian members here who appreciate a good dram. I'm just going to do halves, like I said. So normally you do a full dram of that. I'm going to go with half a dram. Pop the cork in that. You also need half a dram of good rum. Ooh. I'm going to go with an R11.4, Tasty Treat. Here's a funny story for you. The manager, your spirits director, Kai, I remember asking him in 2018, if I was to get one society rum, what would it be? And he said, get the R11s. Like, the R11s are just unbelievable spirit. And I bought one on his recommendation from the vaults when I was there, and I've never looked back. They are so good. I like all of our rums. It's a rum country, I said that before. But this is, in particular, is one of my favorites. So then we do about the same measure again. You'd normally do a full nip. In the UK, I think that's 25 mils. In Australia, it's 30. We just see what the UK do and then do more. I've got to wind you up. Okay, and then so half of rum in there. We then want about, if you can get some grenadine syrup. You can use of course natural pomegranate or cherry as you wish, but you want about half again, so about 7.5 mils of that. You want about 7.5 simple syrup, which you can get anywhere. If you want, you can substitute that out for sugar, of course. If you want to crush the sugar down and dilute, you can. And then we want just a splash of bitters in there, of course, as well. Like I said, I'm making a half size and I don't have any garnish, so bear with me here. Crack the lid on. Whew. That is very, very cold now, as it should be. I'm going to somehow wrangle the lid off that. Smells good. It's a very simple cocktail, but it's very sweet and brisk and lovely, and makes for a good summer dram. Good summer drink, sorry, I should say. Grab your glass. Look at that. I call it the pink, the rummy pink half size. Otherwise, I'd normally go to the full top of the glass there. There we have it. That is a proper, lovely summer cocktail. It's quite boozy, being I'm using cask strength whiskey from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Ooh, yeah, that is delightful. It's a nice cold cocktail, of course. It doesn't need anything else. The ice will dilute it nicely down as you enjoy it. And that's another way to enjoy your drink. Of course, you can enjoy it any way you like. I always like to say that to members. So you can enjoy your dram however you like to enjoy it. It's some people like to enjoy it neat out of a copita or copita if you prefer, or a Glencairn, or even better, a Society nosing tasting glass, or one of our single cask spirit glasses. There's no sort of limit to how you can enjoy it. A lot of the spirits, of course, these spirits are designed to be enjoyed neat, to be enjoyed, but also as you wish. As I say, it works both ways. It's two for the price of one. So a bit of simple syrup, bit of grenadine syrup, bit of rum, bit of whiskey. Put all that together, shake it all up, fairly even meshes of both. The grenadine gives it just that tiny bit of fruit and colour at the end there, whereas the rum and the whiskey come together really nicely. You can use bourbon. If you get a nice single cask bourbon from the Society, you can use that. In fact, I recommend it. But a nice toasty spirit like the 134 provided there I think works really well as well. I'd err on the side of a younger cask. You know what? I really appreciated you having me on tonight and me being a part of your stream. I'd love for you to say hello to our Aussie members whenever you get the chance online or in person. And I'm looking forward immensely to being back in the vaults, of course, when it all happens. And I've got to see the new Glasgow venue. You guys are so lucky. What a cool looking space. Hopefully it'll be open again soon after everything's starting to calm down and starting to relax now a bit in Australia, of course, at the moment, which is just fantastic. So if we can just raise a glass together, Slàinte, as you say, or I'd say cheers, mate, and enjoy a drink however you enjoy it, whether it be that 66, whether it be that 52, whether it be a cocktail or whatever you're dramming on tonight. I really appreciate that, you coming along this journey with me. And I will see you all again soon, and hopefully in person, of course, like I said. And have a great Friday night. And Slàinte from Australia to you, to your good health and best wishes. Cheers.
Cheers to Matt Bailey. My goodness. Sorry about the little audio hiccup there. I don't think we had Matt at the very beginning of that, but hopefully you all caught enough of it. And it was nice to see Matt in such good form. So what do you think of that, Euan? Yeah,
very good. I rarely experiment with cocktails, but that one sounded absolutely brilliant. So I may give it a go.
Definitely, he's a good man, Matt Bailey. Right, coming up next, I'm just trying to get organised here. We have our pub quiz. Right, I think I've got it set up. So let's do the pub quiz, Euan. Let's invite everyone to take part. It's not all whiskey, some whiskey stuff in here, but there's some other kind of solstice related questions. So it's not just for the whiskey geeks, but there's definitely some whiskey stuff in there. 10 questions, they're all nice, and we will give you the answers as we go along. So if you want to participate, you can keep your own score, and you can get into the comments and let us know what you think the answer is as we go along through the quiz. Right, so let's see if we can get this one going. June 2020 outturn virtual pub quiz. Let's do it. Right, Euan, you want to go question number 1?
Put me first, is it? Okay. What is the most northerly whiskey distillery in Scotland? Forgive my pronunciation. Abenderg. Abenderg.
Abenderg, I think. Well,
Right,
I don't know
okay.
if my pronunciation is any better than yours, but
I think there's a few pronunciations in here, isn't there, Richard, in this quiz?
Yeah.
Highland Park, I know that one. Highland Park. Scapa. Shetland Reel.
Right. Okay. We've got any? Oh, we've got Whiskey Wizard thinks it's a Shetland distillery. There is a distillery on Shetland, but the question is it the most northerly whiskey distillery in Scotland? And for the time being, the answer to that one is B, Highland Park. I think the Shetland distillery is definitely producing gin, but as far as I know, they've not produced any whiskey yet. They say it is on its way. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's on its way. But for the time being, Highland Park keeps its position as the most northerly whiskey distillery in Scotland.
I think Shetland have a blended malt that they put together. So it's not their own whiskey, but there is one under their brand, I think, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And they maybe kind of age it for a certain period on Shetland, but it's not actually produced in Shetland. So we'll give that one to Highland Park. Okay. Let's see. Question 2. Cask number R2.11, Goat Farms, Esters and Vinyl Funk is our new rum, which was in today's outturn. Which rum producing country is home to the Demerara region? So maybe one for the rum aficionados out there. So is it A, Jamaica, B, Barbados, C, Guyana, E, Martinique? So everyone's heard of Demerara, right? Demerara sugar. But where is the Demerara region? We've got Mark Lindsay saying Guyana. You should know this, Euan, obviously.
Yeah, especially since I have the answer in front of me, but...
that helps. Right.
Yeah, so the answer is indeed C, Guyana. Demerara sugar is so named because originally it came from the sugarcane fields on the colony of Demerara.
There you go. Okay, over to you.
Okay, question 3. What is the capacity of a hogshead in litres? Is it A200, B250, C500, or D700?
I'd say this was quite an easy one for the whiskey fans out there. Let's see. We're getting any suggestions? A wee bit slow tonight. Whiskey Wizard says 250. Anyone else having a go? Oh, kind of quiet. Too easy. The answer obviously is
250.
Stephen's saying A. Sorry, Stephen. B, 250. So that's the capacity of a hogshead in litres, Euan. How many society bottlings would you get out of a hogshead? Or is there any kind of normal, or does it just depend on different factors?
Yeah, depends on, I guess, the age, so how much angel share there is, but everything down to even the quality of the coopering. So if you had a wee leak at some point, there's really no way of telling. But yeah, general rule of thumb, I'd say you're probably going to get between 250 and 300 bottles from a hogshead. They tend to hold up pretty well. They're recoopered from bourbon barrels, so that's kind of done here in Scotland. So it's kind of a fresh set of coopering to put the hogshead together, which tends to make them pretty hardy casks.
Very good. There you go. Question 4. Is this one from me?
Yep, I think so.
I'll take it. What does petrichor refer to in our society tasting notes? You might have seen this when it pops up quite regularly. And certainly the first time I saw it, I was like totally baffled by what petrichor meant. So what does it refer to? Is it A, the smell of a damp wetsuit? Is it B, a flinty note correlating with a higher level of acidity? Is it C, the earthy scent produced after rain falls on dry soil? Or is it D, the fear of finishing a great bottling? I certainly know the feeling of D, but is that what petrichor is? Let's see. Does anyone know? It certainly comes up quite often in our bottle, in our tasting notes. But yeah,
it's one of my favorite smells. It's incredibly evocative.
Yeah. Once you know that there's a word to describe that, then it kind of stays in your head, and then you start to notice it. And certainly we've got a few people they're all going for C, which is the correct answer. Petrichor is the earthy scent produced after rain falls on dry soil. So look out for that one. All right, over to you.
Okay. Question 5. Our bottling cask number 64.117 is called Caravaggio Plays Tennis. Who directed the 1986 film about the Italian artist?
I don't know. I've no idea why the bottle is called Caravaggio Plays Tennis. I don't know who was responsible. It's a good one, but I don't know what it means. But anyway, is it? Over to you.
Is it A, Derek Jarman, B, Ken Loach, C, Ken Russell, or D, Stanley Kubrick?
Did you know this one, Euan, before you saw the answers?
I've actually minimized the answer, so no, I don't know it.
No.
No.
I think you need to know your art house cinema to know this one. It's a bit of a random question, but it's a bit of a random bottle name. So you never know what's, the society can be educational as much as anything else. The Caravaggio was directed by Derek Jarman, the British director who died fairly recently, I think. So kind of strange film, but strange bottle name. What can we tell you?
I'm gonna maybe try and look up the full tasting note and see if I can figure out an answer to that. But yeah.
Well, let us know, because I couldn't make any connection between Caravaggio playing tennis and what was in the bottle. But that's part of the charm of the society bottle names. Question 6.
I was going to say sometimes you get the smell of, like, when you open a new tube of tennis balls.
Uh-huh.
Like, you sometimes get that sort of vibe, or like plimsoll kind of notes. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, I don't know if any of that crops up, but that might give the sort of tennis leaning style. Anyway,
with a bit of oil paint or something. It's reminiscent of a 17th century Italian artist.
Exactly.
Maybe. Question 6. Which of these cities is not on the same latitude as Edinburgh at 55 degrees north? We've just been up in Shetland, in Orkney, a wee bit further north. We've been down to Sydney, 33 degrees south. So which of these is not on the same latitude as Edinburgh at 55 degrees north? A, Copenhagen. B, Derry or Londonderry. I think it's known as, I need to be careful here, politically sensitive. C, Moscow. Or D, Warsaw. Right. This could be a wee bit of a surprising one because you don't realise quite how far north Edinburgh is, although judging by the general temperature, you shouldn't be that surprised because it is most often Baltic when you're heading down Leith Walk. Anyone having a go? Not yet. Okay, we'll reveal the answer. So they're all in the same latitude as Edinburgh, apart from Warsaw, which is further south, I believe. There you go. Okay, over to you, Euan.
Okay. So cask number 89.11, a Kraftwerk Orange, pays tribute to the groundbreaking German electronic band. In which city was the band founded by Ralph Hutter and Florian Schneider? A. Düsseldorf, B. Stuttgart, C. Frankfurt, or D. Munich? Any Kraftwerk fans in here?
Yeah. Here. What about you, Euan?
Not specifically Kraftwerk, but I do like a bit of experimental electronic music, which I think those guys are kind of some of the forefathers of that style. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
The Florian Schneider sadly died fairly recently. I think it was back in April, and it was just a reminder when he died of the kind of influence that Kraftwerk had on all kinds of forms of music as kind of electronic pioneers, and the influence not just on electronic music but on dance music, and absolutely phenomenal. We've got some A's coming in, some C's, mostly A's. So A, Dusseldorf is the right answer. And that's another bottle name, which I'm trying to work out what a Kraftwerk Orange is. But, if the whiskey is good, that's all that matters.
Yeah, the whiskey is your muse. So if that's where it takes you creatively when you're writing a note, fair enough.
Exactly. Question 8. Where does the whiskey we bottle from Distillery 138 come from? Right, so this is a test. How well do you know your distillery codes? Distillery 138 is in A, India, B, Japan, C, Taiwan, or D, England. And obviously we bottled from all those countries fairly recently, but Distillery 138 is from where? Any guesses coming in? C, Taiwan. Patrick is saying A, India. Let's see, anyone else? It's quite a tricky one, I think, because we've been doing a fair number of international bottlings, and it's maybe not that easy to keep track. Stephen is saying C. Okay, most people are going for C, and C is correct. Distillery 138 is one of the distilleries on Taiwan. Have you got some other countries and distillery codes there, Euan?
Yeah, so obviously the Society's been a long time bottler of world whiskey, pretty open to things from elsewhere as long as they're of good quality. So 139 is another distillery from Taiwan. We've got 134 from India, 137 from England, and then we also have 116, 119, 120, 124, 130, 131, 132, G11, G12, and G13, all hailing from Japan.
Okay, I should just highlight Kai saying he thought it was C. And then when we revealed it was C, this was his response. Yeah, we couldn't let you away with that one, Kai. Yes, Taiwan. Right. Okay. Over to you, Euan.
Okay, so Bladnoch Distillery features in this outturn as well. We chatted about it a bit earlier. In which town in Dumfries and Galloway is the distillery located? Dumfries, Newton Stewart, Wigtown, or Stranraer?
I don't think we mentioned the location of the distillery. I know I was talking about what a great place it was to visit. It's a bit of a trek off the beaten track down in Dumfries and Galloway, but I don't think we mentioned exactly.
No, I think we said Lowland. That was about it. So
right. Yeah. So we've got Whiskey Wizard saying A, Dumfries. Harry's saying C. Mark Lindsay saying C. Yeah. The correct answer is Wigtown. Nice wee town. I think they do the book festival in Wigtown as well. It's worth visiting for the book festival, but definitely worth visiting for the distillery. When we went, I think they were just renovating or setting up their visitor centre, so I'm sure that's up and running just now. And it's just a beautiful part of the world, and not the easiest place to get to, but well worth a visit. Cracking wee place. Right. So question 10. Cask number 112.57, Splinter versus Shredder, had 2 years of additional maturation in a hogshead made of Vosges oak. And I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but that's my guess. What region of France does Vosges oak come from? Is it Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, or Alsace? Okay. That's a tricky one. So what region of France does Vosges oak come from? A, Bordeaux, B, Burgundy, C, Champagne, I'm trying to sound French, D, Alsace. David Manson is saying A. Maybe he's just taking a punt. Did you know this one, Euan?
I did not actually. But the answer is?
The answer is
D, Alsace.
D, Alsace. Can you tell us anything about oak from Alsace?
So from the eastern part of the country, this is kind of distinguished by being mainly wide grain, which bizarrely means it's sort of less porous. So if you have fine grain, it means it's more porous. If you have wide grain or coarse grain, it means it's less porous, which is sort of counterintuitive. But yeah, this whiskey is phenomenal. It's got all that kind of rich spiciness that you'd be looking for from high tannin French oak with a nice toasting treatment.
Brilliant. One to look out for. Okay, good stuff. Well done to everyone taking part in the quiz. Some tricky ones in there. Not necessarily all whiskey knowledge, but you can expand your horizons in the Society Virtual Pub. Right, we've had some whiskey. It's maybe time to have some gin. We are joined by Joe Mcguirk, who will probably be a familiar face to many long-standing members of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Joe worked at the Society's members' rooms in Edinburgh and then managed Greville Street in London. Is that right, Joe?
That's right, yeah. Hey guys, thanks for having me in. Yeah, I'd worked for the SMWS for 10 years, from 2004. And that was my entry to the spirits world. And I've got a huge love for the SMWS. So this bottling, which arrived today, actually blew me away. I thought, wow, this is a dream come true for me. This is Society Bottling GN 4.1, and it has come from this location, which is the Boatyard Distillery in County Fermanagh. in Northern Ireland. And
Brilliant.
yeah.
Joe, we'll come to the gin. Tell us a wee bit about how you made the transition from working at the society, managing the members' room down in London, to setting up your own distillery in Northern Ireland. How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, my real entry to this first world was through the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, and I fell in love with the spirits industry from that, and really kind of over that 10 years working in Edinburgh with Euan as well and a few of the team, and then moved down to London. I worked with a guy called Darren Rook, who started the first whisky distillery in London in over 100 years. And I took a lot of inspiration from that, and I thought, well, you know what? I grew up in this beautiful place in Fermanagh, in Enniskillen, and thought, well, I wanted to get back home to go and create my own distillery. You know, the dream was for me more tinkering. That's the way that I saw it. You know, we didn't have any crazy budgets or money or anything like that. It was more about going and creating some amazing flavors. You know, I loved to try and taste new things, and that thing fell from where the idea came from. So that was back in 2013, 14. You know, at the end of my time at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, I was thinking, well, you know, this could happen actually if I put my mind to it. It took a few years. You know, we took about 2 years before we were able to. We had to find this beautiful site on the banks of Lough Erne, which you should all come and visit, by the way. It's probably one of the few distilleries in the world, I believe, that you can come right to the very door by boat or by road, and we'll hand you a James Bond martini as you're stepping off the boat. So, you know, if you can ever get across to us, I definitely recommend you come and have a visit with us. But yeah, so that was back in 2014, 15, a couple of years to set up. 2016, launched product, Chronicle Gin. And that's been kind of our flagship product. You know, we're using some of the botanicals from my dad's farm where I grew up. We use this one amazing thing called sweet ale, actually. And this stuff here grows in the family bog, and it grows in acidic peat bogs. But it's got this beautiful aroma to it. And we thought, well, how can we use this as part of our gin development and our gin recipe? So I thought, well, we spent about 6 months developing the gin and trying to bring this to life, and had this idea in my head where I wanted to translate the idea into a liquid form. So that took a little bit longer than expected, and putting all of the pieces of the puzzle together. But it was really about flavour and about, and that was what got me inspired. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society are brilliant about that, and the tasting notes, which ring, you know, your quiz with the petrichor in particular, is something that rings with me. My wife would know about that. But it's like a really beautiful kind of flavour note, that the component that you're looking for and trying to translate into the glass. And that's what the dream was for me about building this distillery. So now we make a range of different spirits. We've got a couple of different gin offerings, our core product, which is obviously the thing that we sell around the world. And then we've got a few different things like our seed to glass vodka, which is being distilled at the minute behind me. And we are producing, we use wheat from a plant down in Kildare. It's organic wheat, like everything that we do in here. You know, we're a big fan of the spirits, and so the gin that we've got has been made using organic ingredients, organic components, and that's what we're about. You know, it's something that's very important to us. There's a lot going on here. You know, we're a small little micro distillery, but if you ever get the chance to come across to us, you know, definitely recommend it.
Sounds brilliant. And what about the whiskey side of things, Joe?
So the whiskey, we started quite early on, and we put down a little bit of whiskey back in the day when early on when we first got started. It's something that I drew passion from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society and thought, well, how can we bring this to life? So we found a recipe from the last working distillery in Fermanagh back in the 1800s, and the last legal distillery, I should add. And we're trying to replicate a historic recipe. And the stuff at the minute is coming up to 3 years old, so it's not quite whiskey as yet. It was distilled in October. It's about 2.5, coming up to 3 years now. Whether we're going to release it at that, who knows? But I think when it's ready, but it might take a little bit of time just to, 3 years is not the be all and end all. We're gonna release this as the Scotch Malt Whisky Society do when it's ready, really.
Brilliant. Look forward to it. In the meantime, we've got GN 4.1. It was in today's outturn. I've had a chance to sample it already, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Euan, you've got some as well, right?
I do indeed.
So,
to add to the ever-growing bar top here.
Joe, talk us through it. Shall we try it just on its own first?
I mean, so I would recommend you try it neat. Like any spirit, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm coming from a distiller's point of view, where I would recommend you find out what the spirit is about, get your nose inside the glass, and really kind of get to grips with what the flavor profile is about and what makes up the drink. And for me, when I've only tasted this for the first time today, and we got a thank you for sending me the bottle, and I thought, wow, this is it got me really, really excited. The ABV was the first thing that I've seen on the bottle, which is 48.4%. So it's in keeping with the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. It's much higher than a traditional gin, but I don't think you get that for me. It's quite. I'm not getting that spike, maybe that I was, you see a gin at this strength, so it's almost like you're approaching it differently. But again, going back to I'm always thinking about production, and I'm looking for certain things like that fruit pastel note, and that little bit of citrus peel that's in there, and then followed into the cask. So this has been matured in a first fill bourbon cask, ex-bourbon barrel, for about 9 months, just under 9 months.
Yeah.
And that is what's it's quite a light color. It hasn't been matured very long. It's been matured in Scotland at a reasonable temperature. It's nothing hot. So the color is nice and mild, but it's imparted a lot of flavor in that time. I was surprised by how much it's taken in such a short period of time, compared to if you think of it in whiskey world, where you need much longer. But it's all about balance, and I think that was the thing that got me. You still get that gin and the boatyard definition that's in there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not too woody. I've had other gins that have been sitting in a barrel for quite a long time, and they start to lose their gin character and become some kind of hybrid. But this is very much still a gin, and smells great, but it's just got a little bit of color, and really, really nice. What do you think, Euan?
Yeah, with our gin casks, the goal isn't really to add too much. So in fact, the Boatyard is the only gin that we have put into first fill bourbon. Every single other one has gone into second fill. So say we tip like a 10, 11, 12-year-old, normally Speyside whiskey, and then I'll take those casks, fill them with different gins, tend to fill as standard at 50% ABV, and then just let it kind of coast. So I'm quite surprised that this has gone down to like 48.5, because if it's only been in there 9 months, it must have been kind of a warm part of the warehouse or something. But I love the impact of the first fill, the more active barrel. And the thing for me that works so well is that citrus that Joe was talking about, the kind of sweetness and the charry kind of sugary edge of the bourbon cask really highlights the citrus notes in it.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, though, came with mine pre-made into a G&T because I'm not in the kitchen, so I don't have access to ice or mixer. So I thought, I'll come with the end drink. I have tried it, obviously, many a time. So
no, but sipping it straight, that's fantastic. And as you say, Joe, like even at 48%, it's not. It feels quite not easy drinking, but certainly quite smooth.
It's a nice balance to it. And as a distiller, we're looking to match the wood with the flavor profile, and you still want to hold that juniper note. It is gin at the end of the day, and that's the dominant flavor that you want to come through. So it's a really nice balance of oak that sweetens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that one of the I've got sweet tooth, so my favorite mixer with this gin, and I've tried it in a few different ways just this evening, is with some ginger ale and a little shaving of orange peel in there as well, and just that to open it out. As a long drink, this is beautiful. It kind of really works, lancing that out. We've also tried it with some soda, so a highball, a classic highball style with a little bit of soda, which works really well with it too. But it's a nice kind of citrus edge to it.
Yeah, I've gone with a slice of lime and some fine tonic.
I'm mixing mine just now.
Yeah, I mean the thing is you don't have to have your gin. People don't like that. So I mean, I grew up in the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, so it was trying it neat first. I want to know what the spirit is about, what the character says, and what it tells you, and then work out where it fits in. But I would tend to try it neat and then mix slowly. Maybe 2 parts to 1. Even though it's quite strong, it's 48% of the gin, but probably less of your dilution ratio. I went for the ginger ale just because it's got that sweet tooth as well.
Oh, it's spectacular.
Old-fashioned style. It's got that spice. It's lovely.
Good job, sir.
Yes.
Really tasty.
Great job. So we'll need to pay a visit to Fermanagh once we get the chance to travel.
You've got to get over here. Yeah, we're doing, we can't wait to get out of this thing that we're in and get some tours going again. We kind of launched our tour last year, and we were doing tours every day. And, it's the thing that I got from Scotch Malt Whisky Society again was that hospitality feeling, bringing people into your home and showing them your still and getting that touch and feel. It's really, really important, I think, it's why I got into this.
Sounds great. Joe, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing the gin. Great to see you.
All right, thanks, guys.
And hopefully we'll see you before too long. All the best.
Cheers.
Oh, right. Well, we've had some whiskey, some beer, some gin. It's been quite a good session, I would say, for a Friday night in the pub. We are just about ready to wind things up, but we're going to go back to Donnie and Skye. Hopefully he's ready to go. You all set, Donnie?
I've got my gin.
Oh, you're on the gin as well now?
Got Harris gin.
Very good. Right.
So I'm going to do
over to you. You can play us out.
Yeah, I'll do a couple of songs. I've got it's an old 60s folk number. It's called "The Sun Is Burning in the Sky." It's quite suitable for a few days ago. It's a wee bit apocalyptic, the song, but and then I'll join it on with an old Andy Stewart number. sun is burning in the sky. Strands of cloud are slowly drifting by. In the park, the dreamy bees are droning in the flowers among the trees. And the sun burns in the sky. Now the sun is in the west. Little children lay down their heads to rest, and the couples in the park are holding hands and waiting for the dark. And the sun is in the west. Now the sun is sinking low. Children playing, although it's time to go. High above, a spot appears, a little blossom blooms and then draws near. And the sun is sinking low. The sun has disappeared. All is darkness, anger, pain and fear. The twisted, sightless wrecks of men go crawling on their knees and cry in pain. And the sun has disappeared. And the sun burns in the sky. Strands of cloud go slowly drifting by. And the couples in the park are holding hands and waiting for the dark. And the sun burns in the sky. Gentlemen, it is my duty to inform you of one beauty, though I'll ask of you a favour, not to seek her for a while. Though I own she is a creature of character and feature, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden, they bow and ask for pardon, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. From the evening that I I mentioned, I passed with light intention through a part of our dear country known for beauty and for style, being a place of noble thinkers, of scholars and great drinkers, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been there, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden, they bow and ask for pardon, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. So my lads and I must leave you, my intention's not to grieve you, nor did would I deceive you for a seeker in a while. I must find a way to gain her, to court her and to tame her, for I fear my heart's in danger from the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been near, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden, they bow and ask for pardon, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll. And if you could have seen her there, boys, if you had just been near, the swan was in her movement and the morning in her smile. All the roses in the garden, they bow and ask for pardon, for no words can mark the beauty of the Queen of all Argyll.
Fantastic, Donnie. On good form tonight.
I think I blew the speakers a wee bit. I need to turn it down a bit.
Now turn up to 11, Donnie. Turn up to 11.
Brilliant.
Must be the gin.
Good stuff. Donnie, brilliant to see you.
Aye, thanks again. Been interesting.
Have a good tune.
I did a bit in the quiz this time as well. I got a couple, 2 or 3 right. Yeah. My new favourite. What's that?
Good man. We're not getting your audio very well. Great to see you. Have a good month. We'll catch up with you soon. And cheers for the tunes as always. All the best. Right, Euan. I think we're done for the night. That is.
Are you calling last orders? Are you?
I'm calling last orders. Definitely, it's time to wrap things up. But big thank you to you for being a good sport and coming into the virtual pub and sharing your whiskey knowledge and just contributing. So really good. I hope it wasn't too traumatic for you.
No, absolutely a pleasure.
Good man. Right, Euan. Well, we'll catch up with you soon and all the best. See you later on.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, it just is up to me to say a thank you to everyone who's contributed tonight. Donnie with the music, brilliant as always. Helen Woodsford Dean up in Orkney, telling us all about the significance of the solstice up there and the archaeology. Absolutely fantastic. Matt Bailey, our Ambassador Extraordinaire down under in Sydney, Australia. Sorry we missed the audio at the start of his presentation, but hopefully you got most of it and got some of Matt's enthusiasm and passion for whiskey and for life. Joe Mcguirk over at Boatyard Distillery in Fermanagh, Northern Ireland. Great to see Joe, and great to sample what's coming out of his new distillery over there. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And Euan Campbell, our spirits manager, who makes so much of this happen in terms of finding the whiskey, taking care of the whiskey, bottling the whiskey, and then managing the tasting panel and making sure that we're always bringing our members good stuff. So last thing to say is next Friday is the first of our June virtual tastings. Online we'll have Olaf Meyer. I'm sure most of you know Olaf, absolutely brilliant, and he is going to be hosting with Marcel Paschilke. I don't know Marcel, but I'm sure he'll do a brilliant job. And they're doing a tasting next Friday on contrasting whiskies and intriguing pairings, very much in line with what we've been talking about with the solstice, light and dark, and these intriguing pairings. So tune in next Friday. That's at the same time on Facebook and YouTube. Check smws.com for /events for everything that's going on in the UK and in the EU. And if you're overseas or further afield, check your local society website for everything that's going on. There's lots of virtual stuff to keep us occupied and keep us busy at this time of year. So that's it. Stay safe, stay well. Hashtag altogether SMWS. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you've had a good time and enjoyed a wee whiskey and a wee bit of chat. So all the best, everyone, and see you soon. Slange.